So today I am going to be talking about collected works by Lydia Sandgren. Calling all members of the I Like Big Books But I Cannot Lie Club, because this one is a chunker, coming in at around 720 pages. I haven't done any real biggies in a while, but I love the biggies, so here we go. The novel centres around Martin Berg, a Swedish publisher whose wife Cecilia disappeared around 10 years ago, leaving him and his two children, Rakel and Ellis. The novel alternates between two timelines. We're jumping between the past and the present as we're sort of like growing up with Martin, his relationships, his friends. We go deep into his relationship with the famous artist Gustav Becker, but then we also are following Martin in the present and his sort of struggles of being a single parent and, sort of what his daughter's getting up to in the unfolding of her sort of exploration into the disappearance of her mum. I would say a majority of the novel is on Martin himself and him growing up and his friends and the relationships he's made across his life. We go deep, and I mean deep. I mean, it's a big book. It takes its time. And if you are into novels that are about, like, you know, artists, young artists, writers, that sort of like, you know, that pursuit of perfection, of writing the best and most perfect novel or creating the best piece of art, but also just hanging out with these artists as they sort of grow and learn about the world, their travels. A lot of the novel is spent in Paris, where Martin goes with Gustav to kind of just live and become a better writer. It's got all of that. It's rich in that kind of hipster, just artists hanging out, Swedish. It's very super cool. Lots of cigarettes are smoked, lots of coffee is drunk, lots of alcohol is drunk. You know, it's that kind of novel, or at least it is in the kind of them growing up and wanting to fulfill their artistic dreams. But as mentioned, the novel does spend some time in the present, in which we're just seeing the fallout of Cecilia's disappearance on the family. We spend the most amount of time with Martin, and then I'd say Rakel is the next up, and we get a little bit of time with Ellis in that moment. But I would say out of the three, Martin is the old top dog, and then definitely Rakel, and then the youngest sibling, Ellis, in that moment. And short of going into all of the details and all of the things that this novel explores as far as Martin's life is concerned, that's what this novel is. It's just an exploration of his life and his relationships and his family in the present. And it jumps around a lot. And not only does it jump around between like the past and the present, it also jumps around within the past as well. And there is a mystery. Of course, there is a mystery at the heart of this novel. The whole hook of this novel is, why did Cecilia just all of a sudden disappear? And you as a reader are having to sort of piece these things together as the novel progresses. But again, you know, it's a 730-page novel. Knowing exactly what to sort of look into and what to examine as to why Cecilia might have gone away, it's pretty hard. Because there's nothing really in there other than just them living their lives. And I suppose someone far smarter than me might be able to sort of figure out those things. But, you know, other than that, it's all about the journey. So what did I like and what didn't I like? What I liked. Number one is going to be the characters. The characters are amazing. It's, you know, they are so rich and deeply layered. Cecilia, Martin, Gustav, we spend so much time with them. And it just builds and builds and builds. And you just know them so well. That's one of this book's absolute strengths. That if you like novels that are a character study and very light on plot, it's just you spending time with these people, getting to know about them, getting to know about life, getting to know about the world through their eyes, then this is a book for you. Next thing I really liked is the writing, the prose. It just flows really beautiful. It's just so easy to get wrapped up in it. And even though it is a big book, I did this in a week because I was just able to sort of fly through it. Yeah, I think Sandgren's prose is just, really, really lovely. The next thing I really enjoyed about this novel is the themes it's exploring. The idea of memory, the passage of time, the exploration of youth, and kind of how time affects our memory of our youth, and what it sort of frames and shapes us into being as an adult. I just thought the novel handled all of its themes really, really well. What didn't I like? The first thing I didn't like, and this is going to be an absolute cop-out because everyone seems to say it about a book that's longer than 500 pages long. It seems to just be a go-to critique, but I am a valid, fully-fledged, fully paid member of the I Like Big Books and I Cannot Lie Club, and this book is too bloated. It's way too bloated. It really takes its time, and we just meander with these characters very, very slowly. And for some people, that is going to be delicious. For some people, you're going to absolutely love it. But for me, if you know anything about me by now from watching my videos, I love huge books, but I like them because they give me the ability to sort of sit with characters for a long time and to get to really, really know them. But because they're so big, they also allow a really epic and expansive sort of narrative and plot at play. It allows us to sort of like, for the plot to just get so rich and layered. But the plot in this is just non-existent. There's like one hook, and I'm going to talk about the hook in a little bit as a massive negative. But yeah, the hook is that Cecilia has disappeared. And that's the sort of like the main plot device sort of threading this entire exploration. But really, is it needed? And I'm going to waffle big time about the whole, disappearance aspect of this novel and the hook within it and how I don't think it works. But let's move on to, I also feel like the exploration of Ellis was really underbaked, got barely any time with him. We start off like with a lot of mentions of him, and then the writer just seems to forget about Ellis and he just pops up a few times. And really, the exploration of the characters in the present, in the later years, it's just, I would have wanted it to be equally balanced with what we were learning in the past, but that is no way the case. We get barely any time with them in the present, really, to really understand sort of like what Martin's going through, and to also allow Rakel, who is trying to unpick the disappearance of her mother, to give that loads of time to sort of to come to life. What happens is we sort of forget about it for ages, and then right at the end, Rakel's like, I'm going to go interview someone, and that's where we get the main driving force of that aspect of the book. But for me, that's the hook of this book. That should be the whole book in equal parts with what we're learning in the past, and it just does not give you that. Okay, and my final dislike is the disappearance of Cecilia. Now, I think it's great. It's a really good hook for this book. It's a really good way of exploring these characters and allowing that disappearance and trying to understand that disappearance through what we're learning in the past come into play. I think it's like a really smart narrative decision. I just think it is horribly, horribly executed in this book. I thought throughout the entirety of it, I was going to be finding out these little different bits and pieces and trying to sort of put it all together. But the novel just sort of forgets about it, doesn't care about it, as if it doesn't really matter for most of it, for most of the book. Other than like, a couple of like little mentions here and there, just to sort of keep you as the reader understanding that it still exists. It's pointless. And the problem with it is, and the reason that I'm so frustrated with it, is because it's been put into this novel as a hook to keep you going, and then it's just forgotten about, and it frustrated me. Because the entire way through this whole novel, I was going, oh, I am loving the descriptions. I am loving learning about these characters. I'm loving how sort of like hipster trendy it is. I was reading it in a coffee shop, and it was just like kind of beautifully sort of sit with my mood, and it was lovely, and the writing was great. And I was like, yes, but the whole time I'm reading this, I'm going, what about the disappearance? Are we going to find out anything? Are you going to give us something? And I wasn't able to fully immerse myself in the other stuff because the author had decided to put that in as a plot device. I would have rather this novel didn't have that in there at all. I would rather maybe, just, I don't know, maybe the wife died or something like that. And it's just us looking back on his life and how that kind of death has left an impression on the family. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something massive. But I'm going to come up to my final dislike. But it's a massive spoiler, everybody. So I'm going to put an old timestamp up, which will be my final sort of sign-off. But I need to talk about this because it is a big sort of like disappointment. So my spoiler dislike is the fact that it's an open-ended novel. If you know or if you watch my review of The Bee Sting, and this book actually isn't too far off The Bee Sting, they're both quite big books, and they both explore sort of like a family, and they go back in time, and they explore sort of like how the family developed to where they are now. I would say, yeah, both these novels have similarities in that way. But just like The Bee Sting, I couldn't stand that ending. I could not stand it. It's lazy. It's lazy to just end a novel in the way that The Bee Sting did, and it's lazy to just end a novel in the way that this did. We just don't know. We just don't find out what happened to her, where she went. We get little breadcrumbs, but like where she is and what happened, we do not find out. And some people are going to love that. Some people are going to be like, I find that really interesting. I do not. I don't like spending 730 pages of a novel, like building towards something, to just go, nah, you're not going to find out. It's lazy. It's lazy. And do you know what it is? It's the author not knowing. Honestly, it must be, because it is so easy. And I've said this 1,000 times with sort of mystery novels. It is so easy. I could write it, yeah, like a mystery novel that just keep, like, the mystery keeps unraveling and unraveling and unraveling, and it keeps just, you keep throwing things in and sideways, and readers will be like, oh my god, I can't believe what's happening. So easy to do that. It's the easiest thing in the world. The hard thing, the thing that makes a great writer, is being able to bring it all back together thematically, but also plot-wise give the reader answers that feel earned throughout the journey, and everything ties together. That's hard, and that's something I could never do, and that's what makes a great writer. But this is just like, yeah, you'll never know. And maybe I've missed something. Again, maybe there's something in there that is pointing exactly in the direction I should be looking, and I've just missed it because maybe I'm not smart enough. But I don't think that's the case. It's just a novel that's decided to go, nah, you've got what you need, theme-wise, the emotional core of the novel, all those things have been tied up for you, which they kind of are. But really, I don't know, just everything felt rushed at the end. And it left me very sad. So in conclusion, Collected Works is a richly detailed novel that takes its time, and at times during reading it, I was absolutely loving it. Absolutely loving it. And I think what it does best, and the themes that it's exploring, for the most part, it's doing an incredible job of looking into those and taking its time. But my negatives are my negatives, and this novel set itself up to be something that it wasn't. And yeah, as I said, for spoilers, I can't talk about that final ending, but it just left me very, very cold and angry and sad and upset that I'd spent so much time with it. So I am going to give this 2 stars out of 5. It was all right. It could have easily been 5 stars. It could have easily been 5 stars. In fact, just take out the whole disappearance thing as a kind of like, ooh, mystery, just take it away. Just, be like, this is a exploration of some characters and their lives. And I think it would have been better, much better. But there you go. Again, if you think this is a 5-star novel, I actually wouldn't, I wouldn't be sort of mad at you in that sense, because there is so much in this book that is really, really good. But yeah, not for the plot-based readers at all. Yeah, so there you go, that's Collected Works. Have you read it? If so, what did you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I do have to apologise, this review felt very, very rambly and not my best, but I'm just very, very tired. But anyhow, I hope you're well, I hope you're enjoying whatever you might be reading, and I'll see you all on the next one.